If you guys get really close, excuse me.
Is that going to be okay for you?
You're just enable.
I'm a little bit tighter than that, so I'm about.
Good afternoon everyone. I've got Sarah here, who's a sign interpreter on behalf of Wellington City Council that's been brought in today to help for those who have hearing impairment. We've got Mike Scott here, who's the General Manager of the Building Consents team. I'm happy to answer any questions about buildings in the city, public safety aspects, or any other questions you've got.
Justin, could you give us an update on 61 Bosworth Street?
Yeah, so we've got our engineers working down here at the moment, actively working towards a plan. It's likely the building will need to be deconstructed. We've had some assessment done, the landlord's in agreement that we're happy to take the engineer's advice, and likewise the insurer as well. So within 2 hours we'll know what that plan looks like, we'll know what the process is likely to be as well, but we can't give you that firm plan right now.
It's going to be a huge disruption to the area, isn't it?
Deconstruction, not necessarily, but again we'll have that plan in 2 hours. And we've just seen in Wellington a building has been deconstructed, and that was a result of the 2013 earthquakes. That was BP House. It's currently being reconstructed with a new building going up there. But up until recently, that area wasn't cordoned off. We had a container across the top. People could walk along the pedestrian footpaths. So it was good to get that cordon eventually confined to the area that needs to be for public protection, and we'll have that information in 2 hours.
Is there an immediate risk with 61 Bosworth Street?
There are concerns, and that's why we've gone in with the engineers to say, look, there's an issue here. That was notified to us. It's not a public safety risk from the external things falling down, but internally there were some problems, and that's why we've gone in and we said, look, we think we need to take some action here, and that's why there's a likelihood it will be deconstructed. And I'll ask Mike just to talk about the process around that, because he's been leading that process with his engineers as well.
So basically what we're looking at doing, we're working with all the consultants to make sure that we've got a sensible plan. So public safety, as Justin has said, is absolutely critical for us, so hence the exclusion zone. So we've worked in conjunction with the fire service for that. And what we've done is we've actually made sure that the actual exclusion zone initially was 1.5 times the building height, which is international best practice until you have full detail. So as I said, Justin said, we've actually got our engineering consultants working with the building owners' consultants to remodel that and see what it looks like. So we may end up reducing the cordon a little bit, even as a result of the information we've got today. So we've got to be very cautious about how we do this. We can't put anybody at risk, but we're also critically aware of the impact this is having on the city and that area in particular. So we're taking a very measured approach, but we're doing it at real pace and making sure that we're going to get things moving as quickly as we can.
What was the building owner's response to news it would have to be deconstructed?
Look, the building owner has been phenomenal to deal with, so they've been very upfront and they're very working very closely with us. So this is a joint decision, and they're very comfortable with the process today.
In terms of Tennyson Street, I mean, residents have been evacuated from there, about 60, including the surrounding buildings, people also live there. What kind of accommodation is going to be available for them?
We've had, through the past few days, situations where people have either needed to be taken in by friends and family, backpackers are available, hotels are available, but worst case scenario, we will be able to provide accommodation for people as well, as a last resort, through the Wellington City Council.
What is the issue with the Tennyson Street apartments?
So what this shows, the system is working, so we've gone around and we've done a full assessment throughout the entire CBD to ensure there's no public safety risk, and we're confident there's no public safety risk around any of these buildings. So if you're walking past Tennyson Street, you won't notice anything. However, their engineer has gone into the building and said, look, there are some structural damage issues, and we think we need to evacuate the building in the short term, and we need to assess that more intensively, and that's the system working.
What about private accounts that New Zealand Defence Force headquarters? Can you tell us anything about that?
Again, absolutely no public safety risk. You can walk past the building from a public perspective, no issues whatsoever. There'll be some more information around any internal effects for that building, and at the moment we simply don't know. The engineering assessment will tell us exactly that. I mean, some people have said various different things. It's just essentially rumours or gossip at the moment, because that detailed engineering assessment will tell us.
Do we know, can you elaborate on the number of properties around Wellington that have been shut?
So initially when we did our assessment, we said there were about 60 buildings that were a concern to us in terms of showing signs of structural damage, and then we said, oh, look, 28 buildings approximately had the risk of some part of the building or glazing falling down, and that's why we had the cordons in the places that we did, and now we're down to probably single-digit buildings. We won't know the full extent of any internal damage until building owners have had a chance to go around and assess those buildings. We knew there was damage, we've always known about those buildings that have been affected, and our primary concern was public safety, which has now been abated, and we'll get more information as it comes to light about those internal buildings as well.
How many engineers have you guys had going around assessing buildings?
Oh, Mike can answer that. A lot.
Look, I think we need to be really clear here. As the actual engineering fraternity doesn't just report to the Wellington City Council, so they've actually done a lot of work for their own clients. So from a private building perspective, so the commercial buildings around the city, it's up to the landlords and the owners of those buildings to actually get their engineering assessments done if they think they need it. So the engineers that we've been talking to, and we've been talking to a lot of them, they've been very busy over the last few days going around checking on their clients' buildings to make sure they're actually structurally sound. So it's not a Wellington City Council thing. Our primary role in this is public safety, as Justin said. So it's very important that we get that distinction. But be that as it may, as information is coming to hand, we're actually feeding that into our system. And look, the engineers in the city have been phenomenally good, so they're keeping us up to speed with any issues as they find them.
And I want to stress that fact as well. Again, a big thanks to the engineering community. We've had offers of support from other cities around the country. Seismic engineers, so structural engineers coming down from Palmerston North, and they're doing an incredible job, and they're very busy.
Justin, for you as Mayor, with you said 60 buildings initially were worried, you worried about 28 showed some signs of damage. How bad does this look for Wellington? How concerned should people be in terms of what if another big quake comes? Is the city going to be brought to its knees?
Oh look, no, we need to be prepared for any event that could happen in Wellington. We know that we live on a fault line in Wellington. That's not news to anybody, but we know that the biggest risk to anybody is jumping in your car and driving to work or driving anywhere around the country. So we live with this in our daily life. There's always a risk for us.
So if I could just put that into context. So this is the third biggest earthquake in 100 years. Wellington has had at best superficial damage across the whole portfolio. It's very little. We have done extremely well. So there are isolated pockets where there have been issues, but as a whole Wellington has actually done incredibly well for such a significant earthquake. So we're actually really pleased on the whole with the way things have gone.
And the great news with Wellington, our investment in infrastructure and in resilience has paid off. So we haven't had any disruption to water supply. Our power has remained, which has been a really good outcome. Likewise, sewage services, for the most part, aside for the fact we had rain, earthquake, severe wind and then rain again, and we've only had relatively minor disruptions, large inconvenience, but minor disruptions time-wise to the transport corridors. The city has coped phenomenally well.
The Taranaki Street building that was closed off because of cordons, we heard that there could be more damage. Can you tell us anything?
I'll get Mike to confirm, but again, there's not a public safety risk around that building, and Mike's got the most up-to-date information.
So we had put a cordon in. I don't know the absolute latest on that, but we did put a cordon in because there were some issues with the facade of that building. That is actually a vacant building currently, so that's a benefit. But look, we're just taking a very measured approach. Once again, we're working with the building's owners and the engineers to make sure that it's all safe. So, and I think it's a very important comment that the Mayor made. We've had literally the perfect storm, you know, we didn't even mention the king tides we've had, which actually can have a really big impact. So we've come out of this really well, but we are aware of it. We've got more rain coming tonight, so we're actually tooling up at the EOC for that now. If we get a significant rain event tonight, that's actually going to put more pressure on the system. So we're tooling up and we're very reactive to this sort of thing. You know, we are pretty experienced. So,
And can you please clarify exactly what happened on Mercer Street this morning?
So I'm not aware of the specific details, but I think it was a fire-related issue, not an actual fire, a problem with the fire board. We understand, it's the advice we've been given, but not an issue, and people are back in the building. And I just want to be very clear too, I mean, it's, we've got to deal with facts and information in the here and the now. We're not jumping to conclusions. You know, when a building gets evacuated because someone's burnt the toast, for example, and if the building's evacuated, that's not an area of concern for us.
Well, we know about the ones that we've mentioned so far. Can you tell us of any other ones that have been closed?
Not that we're aware of beyond what we've talked about. However, over the course of the coming days, we expect there to be other issues with other buildings, and that's as the structural engineers are able to go independently into every building through their building owners and tell us the full extent of any damage that they've got.
I just want to come back to Tennyson Street because I was talking to people there and they sort of likened it to Molesworth Street and that it's fractured and it's like a broken bone and there's just so many residents in there that have been kicked out. So you say there's plans, but what is the long-term plan for accommodation for those people if they're not allowed in for days or weeks?
Oh look, we'll be able to find accommodation for them, either friends and family, finding new tenancy accommodation, short-term accommodation, and various different opportunities. We've got partnerships across the city. We've been talking to the universities, for example, so the students have moved out of student accommodation. So there's always recourse to the student accommodation should it be required. So I'm confident that won't become an issue. Also, I just want to be very clear as well. I mean, we need engineering assessment. I mean, I walk into our own building, where plaster has broken and it looks like superficial damage. And that is merely superficial damage, and often it's jibbing and it needs to be replastered. That's quite different from where you've got structural fatigue within a building that compromises its integrity, and we need to be very clear about that.
We are expecting, like you say, some more bad weather coming our way. Is there a real risk that that weather could cause the Molesworth Street building to come down?
Who knows? You know, we get another big aftershock, maybe. You know, we don't know. Don't presume that engineering is an exact science. You know, we are in the hand of God with some of these things. So it has actually suffered a significant damage. We haven't had people going up and assessing it because we're concerned about going in the building. The advice from our engineers is it's a no-go zone. So we're actually working through that now. With the ongoing weather issues, you know, probably one of our primary issues over the last couple of days has been the very high winds. We've had a number of, so if you think about Featherston Street, the reason that we took such a cautious approach on Featherston Street was more as a result of the wind. With windows blowing in, so you get the bad effects of that. We don't want glass flying around and hurting anybody. So we're being very considerate about it. But as we said, earthquake, storm, high winds, high rain, king tides, so on and so forth, and ongoing aftershocks. It is an issue, you know, it's not easy to manage, but we're doing absolutely the best we can.
And we are confident we're managing the public safety aspects, and that's why the cordon's in place, to negate any risk to any member of the public. And as I mentioned, in a couple of hours' time, we'll have a full update in terms of the process and how we proceed. And there is a reasonably strong likelihood that we may deconstruct that building.
You say no one's actually gone into it, but how's it being inspected?
Oh no, so sorry. So just to confirm, that obviously the engineers. So this actually got brought to our attention by the building owner going about his due diligence. He had his engineers in to do an assessment of the building post the earthquake. It was at that time they found the damage. So once they found the damage, they did what any suitably qualified engineer would do. They notified the authorities. So, you know, it's been absolutely fantastic. They've come and seen us. We've then gone about. So they obviously took some photographs. Let's understand what it's all about. Get that advice. Be very measured, because you get a lot of angst around this, and we've got, as the Mayor has said, it's about having hard facts that we can act on and be sensible about that. So keep calm and carry on is, you know, really what we're looking to do, but actually be sensible about how you do that.
What about Featherston Street? Is there any plan on reopening that other lane?
We're working on that at the moment. So once again, all the building owners have been fantastic. Some of these things do take a little bit of time. So that is, and if you think back to 2013, we had literally a bit of a chicane going through Featherston Street for a little while. As buildings were being fixed and reopened, we're able to actually remove the blockade. So I'm not anticipating that being too much longer at all. So in the next day or two, we should be in a position where we can have full traffic through there.
There's a little food truck at the bottom of the Molesworth buildings. Don't know if they'll be able to get that out.
It's not a level of detail I'm concerned myself with right now, but
We'll do our best.
I hope so in good time. Right, any other questions? Colleagues, are you?
I wanted to know how soon you could start taking it down if you decide to. Will the weather get in the way of that?
We will give you an update on that plan within 2 hours, and we'll let you know.
Could that be a little email you guys will send out?
We'll probably put out a release.
Yeah, I think that is
we'll put out a release with details around what the plan is.
Yes.
Right,
Thanks so
thank
much.
you. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Emailed some sort of question.